Hey guys, this is Cindy from Jewelry Effects with the very long overdue and highly requested SEO guide video, which may become a series, but I haven't decided yet. We'll just kind of see how this kind of goes. So what is SEO? SEO is search engine optimization. Wikipedia defines it as the process of affecting visibility of a website or a website page in a search engine's unpaid results, often referred to as natural, organic, or earned results. Relevancy is one of the things we're going to talk a lot about in this video. Now, my own disclaimer here is that this video is not made as a quick fix. It is not here to be a one-size-fits-all. This is just my observations. This is my own research. I have an associate's in graphic design with an emphasis on web development. So while I've only been on Etsy for about 1.5 years at this point, I have a lot of background on the internet in general, and I've spent a lot of time learning how SEO works. So relevancy is probably, like I was saying, the most important thing to search engine optimization SEO on Etsy. The reason why is that when you search for an item on Etsy, everything is sorted by default for relevancy. That is why you need to pay very close attention to how relevant your searches, your search results are to what the buyer is looking for. This is what defines, when I'm searching for an item, what shows up. So if I'm looking for candy, I'm not going to find cat treats. So if I'm looking for plugs, I'm not going to find fine art. I mean, obviously somebody could put their tags in that way, which is not going to make it relevant to what the buyer's looking for, but you know, that's kind of their deal. So how do you get relevant with your listings? Well, let's take a look at one of these items that showed up on the first page of the search results here. Well, let's just take a peek. So your title, your tags, and some people will say the first 160 characters of your descriptions are what make your items relevant. I've never found whether or not the description really does, at least for Etsy. I know that it does for Google, but I don't really know that the description itself really matters that much to Etsy. What I do know for sure is that up here at the top, I have rose plugs right here in the title. And if you look at the tags at the bottom, you will also find rose plugs gauges, rose gauges. You're going to find that all of these tags have been replicated very closely to my title. And it's very important that you make a cohesive title that is some kind of a sentence structure. You know, some people want to make it a short sentence and put as many of the tags in there as they can. I just really kind of put those same tags up in the top of the title here, so you get the actual description, and that these are wedding plugs, bridal jewelry, etc. And that's what got this item on the first page of the search results. Now, the way that you can take a look at all of this stuff and change it and edit it is by editing your listings in the listing manager, and you can affect that here. Now, what I was talking about with the description is right underneath here in this very tiny text, it says show the listing as a Google search result. You can show it and it will tell you what this Google search result is going to look like, what it's going to say, where it's going to get cut off. So I have a little bit of cutoff here, I've got a little bit of cutoff here, but you know, I'm not worried about Google search results. I am appealing to Etsy buyers that are searching within Etsy. That's where the majority of my traffic comes from. Even if I optimized my SEO for Google, which Google and Etsy's SEO are at odds on a lot of different things. I'm not really going to get into that. There's plenty of literature all over Etsy and all over the internet about how they're kind of at odds with each other if you want to check that out. But I'm optimized for Etsy. Now, one of the other things that I have people ask me is, well, how do you find these tags? How do you know what tags are popular? How do you find out what buyers are looking for? Well, you can do that a couple of different ways. If we go back to the Etsy homepage and we go to search for something, So I'm going to put in Rose plugs again. If you scroll to the bottom of your search results, oftentimes there's some suggested searches here. So let's look for fine art painting. So you'll see other related search results here at the bottom. And then it says looking for certain shops. You can see more. We can look for fine art prints. If you scroll down again, you're going to have all of these different search results that you may have. So if I look for wedding gauges, and I kind of scroll down to the bottom here, it will give me other related searches to what I'm looking for. Now, it may take a couple of tries, like on the first one you saw it, it didn't really pull up anything for other related searches. And there may not be, and that's okay. It just takes looking and thinking about how your buyer is going to find you, which if you haven't, I highly suggest going through Etsy and try to find your own items. Look at what you have to search by to actually find your own items in the search results. Sometimes you may be looking through 50, 60, 70 pages to find your search result. But for a lot of people, that doesn't really, it doesn't really help to talk about it. It helps to actually go and look for your own items, and then you can kind of see why you're having problems here. You know, I show up on the first page for both of the searches that we did for plugs because my SEO is very high for my category. And, you know, this is not as saturated a market as some others I have seen, which is just all going to depend. And again, that's another reason why your SEO needs to be very top-notch, not just for promoted listings, you know, not just for these other things, but just so that people can actually find you. They're not going to be able to find you if you're not putting in tags and titles that make sense. Now, let's go back to the Rose plugs again. One of the things that I want to point out too is you need to be taking advantage of the entire title and every single one of your tags. Do not leave that information blank. You're hurting yourself. You're shooting yourself in the foot by not going through and adding all of this information for everything that you're working for. You know, it's kind of like when you just leave money on the table. You can't do that. You shouldn't do that. Another thing I want to point out as well is that you really need to optimize your photography. And what I mean by that is you will see a lot of these are actually really good, but you know, looking at this photo, for example, and not to be picking on anybody, it just happens to be what's in the result. It's really difficult to tell what this is or what it's going to look like. You know, the description is pretty good here. It tells me that it's a plugs gauges piercing, but I can't really tell what this is. Where with some of these other photos like this one, you can actually see what it is without having to click on it. I don't know if any of you have ever used Etsy on mobile, but I'm a mobile user. It is very, very annoying to have to click into a listing to see what it is, be disappointed that you didn't find something that you liked, and get out of it again. So one of the things that I also highly stress and highly recommend just as an optimization for your own store, zoom in your preview images as best you can to get as much detail to visually convey to your buyer what they're looking at without having to click into it. Another thing is that people need to start taking advantage of this part of the description right here. So it's about the first 27 characters of your description or so, including the spaces, that is displayed. And you have an opportunity in that first 27 characters to convey as much information as you can to your buyer without them having to click on the listing. I know that seems kind of irrelevant, but you know, buyers are very fickle creatures. I am. I don't like having to click into listings on Etsy to find something that I'm looking for. I want to be able to look at it in the search results and know that that time I'm taking on my data on my phone to load something is going to be something I want, something I'm looking for that I'm interested in. You have to think like a buyer constantly. You know, if I were a buyer, do I like this photography? If I was a buyer, you know, is this photography too dark? Is this too blurry? You know, I can't even place a value on good photography Even though personally don't think my photography is the best, there's certainly others that are much better than I am, but I get the job done. I still convey to my buyer what they're buying. They see enough detail about what is here, and that's important to them, even if we don't think it's important or we think it's a waste of time. I think everybody can agree that if you're doing all of the right things, the buyers usually come. So one of the other ways that you can find really good search terms for your products is by going to your stats page. So if we go to our stats page, we can kind of see where our traffic is coming from, and then you can see your top keywords. This tells you what people are searching for when they found your product. Now, I have 65 pages of this, and it just depends on what the buyer typed in. You can also see what your most active listings are. You can see what are being favorited the most, and that way you can kind of take what the wins are from these other listings that are doing really well and try to replicate some of that into the listings that are not doing as well. Does it have better photography? Does it have a better description? Does it have more information? Does it have a longer title? Does it have more tags? I mean, you're going to have to really sit down and look at this. SEO is not for the faint of heart, and I feel like this, to me personally, is where you divide the casual Etsy seller and the actual business owner. Because you have to invest the time and the dedication into your store to get the results that you want. And I can really kind of prove this. If we take a look at my stats from last year, do you see my store? You know, it was doing decently well up until August. And in August, towards the end of August, I decided that I couldn't ignore SEO anymore. I needed to actually sit down and figure out how Etsy's SEO worked and not just how I thought it should work, because they are all different. And actually spend some time doing a little bit of marketing outside of Etsy. I did all of these things within that 1 week period, and my revenue doubled. $648 here to $1,210 in September, and it just went up from there. To me, that's all the proof I need that I'm doing everything that I can be doing. I mean, I go back through and tweak my tags and everything constantly, but you really have to look at this. I mean, I can't, I don't really have a script for this video, but just from one person to another, we need to be honest with ourselves as sellers that if we're not putting in 100%, Etsy's not going to do it for us. It's not their responsibility to do it for us. They provide the venue and they provide the tools. We have all the numbers right here. I have everything that I need to know what my buyers are looking for. Some of my top search results are wedding plugs and gauges. The bridal market is a big deal for me. So I know that that's where a lot of people are searching for. I know what my most popular gauge sizes are. 0, 00, and 2 gauge. And that's true universally. I sell a ton of that stuff. Now, there's a couple of other things that I'm going to share with you guys. And this is a tool that I absolutely love. Betsy is gone, which I'm very saddened by. But they had a very similar tool that would let you look for tags. This website is called Marmalade. If it decides it's going to load. And it helps you when you're searching for tags and everything, kind of the information that you're looking for. So just to kind of give you an idea of how this works, I'm just going to search for wedding plugs. At least for now, this is a free tool that you guys can use, and that's just marmalade.com. And it gives you your pricing points, kind of how competitive this market is. There's 11 items in the search result that are in the $20 range, so between $20 and $30 or so is fairly competitive in this side of the market. Prices versus views, it gives you a lot of breakdowns. Prices versus favorites. It gives you matching items, and it also gives you other tags that are used. So I found this to be incredibly useful when I started revamping some of my SEO, where I'm getting the dangle plugs and the dangle gauges. I mean, this is going to be relevant to me, but for all of the other sellers that are out there, this is going to be relevant to whatever you're searching for. So if we look for fine art print, we can kind of scroll down here and it will tell us some of the other tags that are fairly popular that appear with items that have fine art print in them. And this kind of helps people look for the different, tags and words and stuff that may help them with their items that they're listing. So I found this tool to be really helpful. Check it out. Maybe it's not going to be as useful for you as it is for me, but I really like it. It's free for now. The rumor is it may not be free later, but I may end up paying for it because I find it very useful. I may only use it once or twice, a month or every 3 months, but I find it very useful. So that's Marmalade. One of the other things I do want to also note is that when you're using your tags, you need to be using as much of those tags as you can, meaning you need to put as many 2 to 3 word tags in there as you can stand. Because a lot of times what I find when I'm looking at my SEO and searching for things is that it will it'll kind of rearrange it. So here's an example of what I mean. Let's look at this one. So if I look at my tags where I have the bridal plugs and gauges, that's a 3-word tag. If somebody looks for bridal plugs, they still find me. If they look for bridal gauges, they still find me. So that's one of the things that I just kind of suggest. It's really up to you guys what you want to do. Again, this is not really meant to be this is what you have to do or this is what you should do. But this is my experience. This is what helps me. This is what works. I don't really know what else to say, guys. You need to look at this. And this is, you have to constantly tend your SEO. I know I've said that multiple times in this video. Can't stress it enough. If you're not keeping up on the trends and keeping up on the color trends and keeping up on what's relevant in the market, what's hip to the kids these days, no one's going to do it for you. You have to be your own marketing expert, and that's just the way that it is. So I hope you find this video useful. If you have any suggestions for topics that you would like to see on SEO covered in the future, you can leave a comment below or, comment in the thread that we have going on the Promoted Listings Guide on Etsy in the forums. I would love to hear your feedback on that. Again, I didn't really have a script for this, so I apologize if I missed anything that anybody really wanted to hear, but I'll give you that opportunity to kind of do some requests in the threads, or like I said, you can leave a comment below. But thanks for watching. Have a great day.